Simple number 1. 25 x to the 2 plus 35x. Remember the understood 1 that we're using. So over to the side, I'm going to write down everything that will multiply to give me 25. Okay. This is where I'm going to use my calculator to help me work through some of these numbers. $25 divided by 1 is 25. So I really use division to see what works. So the first thing I'm going to write down is 1 times 25. Well, if I try 2, does 25 divide perfectly by 2? When I get that decimal, no, it does not work, so I don't use those numbers. I'm going to keep working down my numbers. 25 divided by 3. Again, a decimal, so I don't use those numbers. 25 divided by 4. Another decimal, means it does not work. I do not use those numbers. 25 divided by 5 works out perfectly to be 5. So that's the next one I will write down. 5 times 5. A little trick as we're dividing. When the answer becomes smaller than the number we're trying to use, then we can stop. So right now, 5 and 5 are exactly the same. If I try one more number, 25 divided by 6, I get a decimal, so that means it doesn't work. But notice how 4 is now smaller than 6. That means I've found everything that will work for 25. So that's a little trick that can help you decide when to stop using your calculator to find your numbers. We have now found all of our numbers. Let's now try the same thing with 35. 35. I always start with 1. That may be the easiest one. 1 times the number will always work. So 35 divided by 1, 35. So the first combination should be the easiest to write down. It's always 1 times whatever number you're working with. Now I'm going to continue working number by number. 35 divided by 2 is a decimal, so it doesn't work. 35 divided by 3 is a decimal, so it doesn't work. 35 divided by 4 is a decimal, so it doesn't work. 35 divided by 5, perfectly 7. So I'm going to write that number, that combination of numbers down. 5 times 7. The 7 is still bigger than the 5, so I'm going to keep trying until my answer becomes smaller than the number I divided by. 35 divided by 6. And again, the decimal tells us it does not work, but notice what just happened. The 5 is smaller than the 6. That tells me I can stop. When that answer we get is smaller than the number we tried, that tells us we can stop. We have found all the numbers that work. Now, when I compare these lists, what is the biggest number that they have in common that's in both lists? 5 and 5. So my GCF will equal 5. Now let's look at the variables and the exponents. x2, x1. We use the smallest exponent, x1. That's the GCF where the complete GCF will not work with. I'm going to set up the way the answer looks. Our answer will always look like this. The GCF goes in front of a set of parentheses. And then we divide by the GCF. When we do this math work, we'll put the leftovers inside the parentheses and we'll be finished. 25 divided by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. x2 divided by x1. Again, remembering from last week, we subtract the exponents. 2 minus 1 is x1. 35 divided by 5 is positive 7, so we use plus 7. x1 divided by x1, when we subtract the exponents, 1 minus 1 is 0, so those x's cancel out. And there's our final answer.